Hey, it's BrickTsar. I'm going to do a vintage Lego review. We have here a classic space set. This is from the original space theme and from 1978, so among the first Lego space sets made. It is set 487 Space Cruiser. And we have here the complete set with most of the box and the instructions. So we're excited to review a classic space set. So let's take a look at it. Okay, first we'll look at the actual Space Cruiser. It uses a lot of these wedge plates, these modified plates with the notch in them. These are very common in the space theme. You get a lot of these, and these are all old grays. These are, since obviously from 1978. It's not the same light bluish grays that you have today. And it's got the little wing tail pieces here. It has printed pieces. Now, normally on a Lego set, some of the printed pieces would relate to the actual set number. And that is the actual set number, but not for this version. This is I believe the US version. So it has a different number. That's number 924 is the European set number. So set 924 is the same as set 487 except for the number. And so that's why this 1x4 is LL 924. And here on the front we have the large logo on that slope piece. And very common in the space theme, you have a lot of blues, grays, and yellows, especially trans yellow. And over here we see the logo for space theme, the classic space logo. I need to get me a t-shirt with the classic space logo. Remind me. Okay, yeah, my assistant is going to remind me to look for that. I keep wanting to do that and then I forget. And then these are all trans yellow. Pretty cool. And then on the back you have the down arrow printed piece there. You have your thrusters in the back. Sometimes they would put a 1x1 round piece to represent the flames coming out. And then the other side. On the bottom you got the little stanchions used to hold it, so you can pretend it's coming in for a landing. It's interesting, this set came out in 1978. This is a year after Star Wars came into the movie theaters. And everybody was getting into the science fiction craze. Star Wars was way ahead of its time with the special effects, and so people really got into space. So it was a good time for Lego to start the space theme. And this part here opens. Now this is a big translucent yellow plate, and on the inside you have our driver sitting there. He has a couple of control panels, and it's one thing I've commented on our other vintage space sets is usually, even in the small sets, you got a lot of little computer control panels, which is neat. And other than that, there's not much details on the interior. And we got our space guy, which we'll look at in a minute. Now this is neat. On the back here you have a tile that's holding this closed. It's on hinges, and you can open it up and go into the interior. And this is where our forklift guy can come in, and he can load the cargo in there. And then you can close it up. If I had built it right, you could close it up. There we go. And so that's the cargo. So that's pretty neat. Have to slide it back. The forklift won't go far enough in there. And several of the sets like this, they had where you could store things, transfer things from one ship to another. Just love the classic space theme. It's probably my most favorite theme that I never collect. It's weird. I mean, I love the space theme, but I've never collected the sets. I usually, once I get them, I sell them. I usually get them in lots where I've bought other sets, and I just, believe it or not, you see my hauls. I buy a lot of Lego. I sell a lot, and I have to limit what themes I actually keep, and just space was one of them I chose not to keep, as well as Castle, and Pirates. Even those were three of my favorite themes. I originally had intended to keep Castle, but I didn't. But I just love the look of these space sets, these Legoland space sets. Now let's look at the Forklift. Alright, this is a real simple build. There's really not much to it. But this gray forklift with gray fork is actually rare. It's not in very many sets, and it's hard to find it with a working spring like we got here. So that's pretty cool. And he always, if the spring's working, it's always in the upright position. There's just a little bit of give on it. And here's the cargo. It's got these doors that open up here, and cargo is a piece of kryptonite or something. It's just a 1x1 round brick. So there's the forklift. Now let's look at the figures. Alright, here's our spaceman, our Lego man, Astronaut. Now, there's not a lot of variety in the minifigures with the space theme. They're basically all monochromatic. They're all one color with their space logo on them. But that makes sense because usually astronauts, their uniforms are going to be similar. So here is our red spaceman with the logo, and notice there is some gold. Sometimes the gold is worn out, and sometimes the chin strap is broken, as you see in the preview for the Lego movie. I actually found a blue chin strap the other day that was broken. Where did I put it? Oh well. So, and they all have their matching air tanks in the back. The only printing there is on the front, since this was from 1978. Alright, and here's our white astronaut. He has the gold on his logo, but you can see, if you look closely, it's starting to come off. And look at his eyes and the printing on his mouth. That's starting to come off. So, you know, for a 35-year-old set, the pieces have some wear. I actually did replace the torso with one that was a little better. I'll show you the original torso. So I almost know, I can't even see the planet on it anymore. It's totally worn off. So that was one common problem with the old space theme, is, or any of the old pieces, the printing would wear off pretty quick. And here's our instructions for the 487 Space Cruiser. You see the color photograph with the ship and the accessories you got there. And on the back it shows other sets that were available. Set 493, 462, and then here's ours, 487. So that's just some of them. And it's interesting, this one is the Build-A-Crater version. There's this version and ones with a crater plate. So when they first started making these space sets, they must not have made the crater plate yet, but they did later. Okay, now we'll look at our box. It has 155 interlocking pieces. It's for ages 6 and up. It has the classic Lego yellow on it. You see here, 1978 is what it says right there. And on the back it shows you things that you can build from this set. And they usually, they would have things that you could build with only pieces from the actual sets, which is pretty good. And if I open the box up, you see that here there used to be a cellophane clear cover. It's missing on this box, but most of the box is still here. So usually if you're in the store, you could open it up and kind of look and see what parts were in there. They don't do that anymore, pretty much. I think if they did that, people would just be opening, tearing the pieces out. As you go to Walmart, you see anytime you see the Lego books that have the minifigures almost always missing. People like to pilfer. So that's the box and the instructions. Alright, I'm always mentioning Bricklink, how you can go on there and get the inventories. They also, there's another website, it's called Puron, and you can go there, and it also has information, shows you the piece count, the figures, the year, what it cost originally. This was a $10 set back in 1978 according to this. So Puron's a good resource also, and it has the, like here, I printed out and I made sure I had all the parts before I built it, so I didn't come along and have one or two parts that I was missing. So these are good resources, and It shows you the people that verified them or inventoried them. And I will say that occasionally, even with Bricklink, but more so with Piron, you will find errors in the inventory. But it's not on a lot of stuff, just from time to time. So that is the Space Cruiser, a classic vintage LEGO space set. That's set number 487, 155 pieces, 2 minifigures. Love these classic space sets. I actually had this in my inventory in my Bricklink store, and I took it out so I could review it. I replaced the minifigures with better looking minifigures, believe it or not. And so I'm going to disassemble this and put it back in the box, but I just thought I'd show you a piece of LEGO history, an original LEGO space set. So thanks for watching this review, and I do need to give a shout out. It's going to be to Pokemon Nerd Land. I'll put a link in the description below. He's one that requested that I review this, and so that's what I am doing. Or actually, he requested that I review some vintage space sets, and so that's why I picked this one out specifically, because he requested it. Him and was it Lego Mtron Fan 123, who I've already given a shout out to. But so that's Pokemon Nerdland. He will have a link in my description below, and I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone for giving meaningful comments, suggestions, even criticism, but do it without profanity. And also comment and tell me what you think about this set. And anytime you see a set in one of my hauls you want me to review it, let me know and I'll try to give it priority. I am still backlogged. But thanks for watching this review of the Space Cruiser from 1978. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And this is BrickTsar.